Hello! In this section, we're going to talk about how to optimize the performance of our Node applications. Let's start with a quick recap of our Node fundamentals. Our Node servers normally take in requests and process them on the event loop, sending back the response to the browser. This all happens on one thread. Your Node server, all of the JavaScript code you're running, and the event loop are on a single thread, which means that they can only ever run one line of code at a time, processing one request at any point in time. That event loop is generally pretty good at juggling multiple requests as they come in and passing off any hard work so your server doesn't freeze, or as we call it, it doesn't block. Let's go back to our more detailed view into Node's internals from earlier in the course. Node and the event loop can juggle these multiple requests coming in by taking advantage of the many threads that your operating system already has, and by taking advantage of the thread pool. Node makes use of them by passing off input and output tasks that take a long time to complete. It tries to pass off these long-running tasks to your thread pool and to the operating system so that your JavaScript code and the event loop don't block. For example, if you have a Node server that handles an incoming request by reading and writing to a file on your machine or on another server, in that case, Node passes off the work to read that file to the thread pool, and your JavaScript code doesn't block, even though that JavaScript code is itself running on a single thread. As we've seen so far, in the vast majority of Node applications, this setup works great. Node is ideal when working with non-blocking operations, for example, making requests to servers hosted somewhere on the internet that do things for us and that we can put together into a meaningful application. However, sometimes we have some code that requires a lot of processing power, code that blocks our event loop from continuing, code that doesn't involve our basic file and network operations that Node knows how to handle efficiently. What happens when we need to do a lot of the heavy lifting in JavaScript? JavaScript that only runs on a single thread. Let's investigate this and use what we learn to really optimize the performance of our Node web servers, especially on machines with multiple cores. All of this can get a little bit confusing to talk about in theory, so we're going to start by building out a simple example which will demonstrate some of the challenges that we might encounter. We will then use this example to try a few approaches to improve our server's performance. Let's dive in.